The Mystery of Jack the Ripper, London, 1888. The bustling streets of Whitechapel were alive with activity. A foggy, dim-lit night carried an eerie silence with it. No one knew that in the shadows lurked a predator whose name would echo in infamy for centuries. This is the story of Jack the Ripper, the world's most notorious and mysterious serial killer. Whitechapel in the late 19th century was a grim place. The East End of London was overcrowded, poverty-stricken, and riddled with crime. Among its struggling inhabitants were women who turned to the streets to survive. They would become the targets of a killer whose brutality shocked the world. On the morning of August 31st, 1888, the body of Marianne Nichols was discovered on Bucks Row. Her throat had been slashed twice and her abdomen had been mutilated. The horrific nature of the crime left the police baffled, but little did they know, this was only the beginning. Over the next few weeks, more women were brutally murdered. Annie Chapman was found on September 8th, her body mutilated in a similar fashion. Then came Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes, both killed on the same night, September 30th, in what became known as the double event. Finally, on November 9th, the Ripper claimed his last known victim, Mary Jane Kelly. Her mutilated body was discovered in her own room, the most gruesome of all the crimes. The method of killing suggested that the murderer had some knowledge of anatomy, perhaps even medical training. The precision of the cuts and the removal of organs led investigators to suspect a doctor or a butcher, but no one could identify him. As the murders continued, fear and paranoia gripped London. The media gave the killer a name, Jack the Ripper. The name came from a letter sent to a news agency, supposedly written by the killer himself. It read, "I am down on whores and shan't quit ripping them till I do get buckled. Yours truly, Jack the Ripper." Whether the letter was genuine or a hoax, it only added to the terror sweeping through the city. The police launched one of the largest manhunts in history, but they were met with frustration. Dozens of suspects were interrogated, and countless theories emerged, but none led to the capture of the killer. Witnesses described shadowy figures, foreign-looking men, and strange behaviors, but no solid evidence ever emerged. The identity of Jack the Ripper remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of all time. Some theories suggest he could have been a surgeon, while others speculate he was a butcher, or even a member of the royal family. Modern forensic experts have attempted to analyze old evidence, but the truth remains elusive. Over 130 years later, the name Jack the Ripper still sends chills down the spine. His crimes weren't just murders, they were acts of terror that left a permanent mark on history. A shadowy figure who vanished into the fog, leaving behind a trail of horror and unanswered questions. Who was Jack the Ripper? Was he a man of science, a deranged outsider, or someone hiding in plain sight? The answer remains buried in the past, locked in the foggy streets of Whitechapel, waiting for someone to uncover the truth.